All right, so we're gonna start this week off with a big fail. 365. I about passed out right there. You can see right there. I'm on the borderline of going to the shadow realm. So I reloaded it, dominated the weight. This was not going to be my top single, but I just decided that I would go ahead and do a big pause with it and establish my dominance over it and ruin the rest of my training session. Don't be like me, kids. Anyway, let's get into the Q&A segment. So same question as last week. How do you transition from hypertrophy training to peaking strength? Would love to hear your thoughts on this. Well, you don't go straight from hypertrophy to peak. You're skipping some steps in there. You would transition from a hypertrophy block. Now, this is speaking classic block linear periodization, which is what I've typically done, old American powerlifting style. You would there'd be a strength block in there in between or two. So you'd start by gradually upping the intensity. And I would even venture to say at first there's not a huge reduction of volume. So say you're doing your hypertrophy block is, I don't know, 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Maybe your first strength block, whatever weight you ended on, for simplicity's sake, add 10, 15 pounds, and then you're going from 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 to maybe 4 to 6 sets of 6 to 8, for example. And don't say, oh, Freaky D said you had to go from sets 8 to 12 to 6 to 8. This is just setting an example, but that's what you would do. You would, and over time, as the intensity gets higher, the volume is going to get lower. Even over the course of the strength block itself, at the end, that 4 to 6 sets of maybe 6 to 8 is going to be a harder line. Maybe even 5 sets of 5 or 4 sets of 5 or 4 sets of 6 or 4 sets of 4 when you start getting down to it. And then after that, that's when you would take that. You took that muscle you built with the hypertrophy. You got it strong in the strength block. And I'd venture to say you're still going to be close enough to failure during that strength block. You're going to get some effective reps in there for muscle building. It's not going to be optimal, quote unquote, but it's going to be good enough that you're not going to lose any muscle, certainly. And then you take that muscle that you built, that you got strong. And then you would transition from that strength block, down to, triples and things like that. And maybe throwing in some velocity-based training, some speed work in there as well to take this newfound muscle and strength and make it able to express itself in the form of a 1 rep max. So thank you for asking that question. Like I said, I probably won't get to all the questions again. If you repeat a question, especially one that I find pertinent, I will try to bump that up the following week. How do you like your steak? I like my steak medium. Favorite cutting meal, favorite bulking meal. As far as cutting, I really like there's a Chobani, a sugar-free Greek yogurt I've talked about before. The Kroger brand, the store brand from Kroger, is even better, but it's a 2 pound tub of Greek yogurt that's only 350 calories and like 75 grams of protein. Bulking meal cereal, cereal and milk, whole milk. You can get an ungodly amount of calories down very easy with that, and cereal is heavily fortified with vitamins, so you get a lot of micronutrients with cereal. A lot of people don't talk about that. Even like Fruity Pebbles. Look at the nutrition facts on a box of Fruity Pebbles, and then multiply those RDA percentages by the whole box, because your fat ass is going to eat the whole box at once. There's like 11 servings, even more if you get the family size. And then add in the whole milk as well, and you've got a micronutrient, just ambrosia, if you will. Training with a physical demanding job, how would you structure things? You have to prioritize. Like, what is your priority? What do you want to get better at? What do you want to get stronger at? What do you want to build muscle at? I would pick, 1 or 2 movements that facilitate those goals per session, and just absolutely get after them with the most intensity that I could. And this is intensity in the sense of like going hard, not intensity in the sense of heavy weight on the bar. but there can be that too, obviously. But yeah, like a get in and get out type thing. And you're really going to have to prioritize hydration, nutrition, and sleep, maybe even more so than some other people, given your physically demanding job. But yeah, priorities. You gotta set hard goals. What do you want? And make the most out of your time in the gym. This is a place where I think a more minimalistic approach is going to be superior because you're doing so much outside of the gym. Planning to finish a big bulk, is it worth it to cut slowly? A few hundred every cut, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a fan of slow cuts. If it's something you're doing that's long term and you're at a more advanced age, I don't know, maybe, but I like to get cuts out of the way as quickly as possible so you can get back into a state of maintenance and or bulking, because ultimately us as natural lifters, that's when we're truly anabolic, if you will, is when we have the calories to facilitate growth. So I honestly am of the mindset of get the cut over as quickly as possible, unless it's, you're going to permanently cut down to a certain weight. Maybe if you want to take your time as such, but otherwise, I would say do it quickly. Is the leg press safe at heavy weights? My leg press goes up and now the weight feels scary. There's inherent danger with everything that we do in the gym. Is it safe? It's as safe as you are intelligent with your use of it. Thoughts on top set back off versus straight sets? All right, so this is a good one. They both have their place. The top set back off is preferred probably these days. It's going to be better, I think, for strength as well as hypertrophy. There's more wiggle room there, if you will, to make adjustments on the fly. And you can take what's there on the day. Whereas straight sets is more written down. It's very oonga boonga, beat the books, and there's nothing wrong with it, but there's less wiggle room. And you have to sort of progress in a linear fashion. Or you can step load it as well. Of course, you could just say I'm going to do this weight for 5 sets of 5 for a month, and I'm going to absolutely dominate this weight by the time that's over, and then I'm going to take a bigger jump next month, which is viable. My solution with the straight sets, what I've programmed people, what I've done with myself, is instead of just it being straight sets, obviously I start very conservatively if I'm doing a straight set type scheme, but instead of like just say a 5x5, I'll do 4x5 of straight sets, and then on the 5th set do an AMRAP. And if it's one of the main movements like a squat bitch or a deadlift or a variation of them, I don't AMRAP to absolute failure. I don't like for my competition lifts and their close variants, I don't really like for them to technically get all willy-nilly, so I don't go to true failure. But if it's something more accessory based or something like that, or maybe like a row or even an overhead press that's not really that close to my bench press, I don't mind taking those to an absolute failure because it's not really going to fuck with my technique on something that's more competition based for me. Just in general, if you gun to my head one or the other, I would say top set back off is a little bit better, but they both have their applications and uses, and neither one of them are bad. Favorite training book, 1020 Life by Brian Carroll. It's a very comprehensive book while being very simple, easy to digest. It's the nuts and bolts of how to get strong, how to diagnose weak points, how to correct weak points. It's got a template in there, but it's not even something where it's like pimping out, follow my program or my template. It's a really good book, very informative with like how to, again, get strong, and not only how to get strong, but how to make repetitive strength gains and consistent strength gains, for the duration of the time that you're in the gym. We are running out of time, so peace, bitches.